Greetings, friends. It's so much of an honor as the chair of the Parliament to begin to say our expressions of gratitude to everyone who's made this wonderful event possible. Before I begin to do that, I'd like to recognize and say how pleased I am that Chief Stacy LaForme of the Mississaugas of the New Credit has joined us today, and we're grateful for his attendance with us today. My colleague, Dr. Larry Greenfield, has already expressed great appreciation to you as the audience, as participants, as those who have inspired us, and all that we try to do with the Parliament of the World's Religions. And so I want to give a special shout out to audience members who've come from all over the world. We've had 7,500 plus of you here this week, and we're so pleased about that. Thank you so very much. I want to say that the media has been with us throughout the week, and I'm so excited to say that there have been over 600 articles about the Parliament this week published in newspapers around the world. Let's give our media a big hand. This could not have been possible without a huge team of people working to make it all possible, but I must begin with my colleague and my friend, Dr. Larry Greenfield, the Executive Director of the Parliament of the World's Religions. Larry, would you come to the stage? And while he is coming, let me just say that I appreciate so much about Larry, his vast experience, his theological wisdom, his personal integrity, and his close friendship. It's been a joy to work with Larry Greenfield. It's been unusual for an American Baptist and a cooperative Baptist to have the privilege of working with people from so many different religious traditions and spiritual traditions. And we depart from our leadership at the end of this year with gratitude for our experience with the Parliament of the World's Religions. Is Larry with us? A hand for Larry Greenfield. I want to call to the stage and recognize first our wonderful Board of Trustees from the Parliament of the World's Religions. And would you please make your way to the stage as I'm talking about what you've contributed. These trustees, approximately 30 trustees from many different religions, many cultural and ethnic and national and linguistic backgrounds, have proven time and time again their wisdom and their good hearts. They've served as our MCs, as our presenters in so many sessions. They've sought resources, they've solved problems that have arisen. They have been enthusiastic encouragers to the rest of us who are working behind the scenes. And these are your Parliament trustees from the Parliament of the World's Religions. Let's express our gratitude. As our trustees remain here, I'd like to ask for any volunteers, any committee members, task force committee members who have not been trustees, but who have worked for this, along with these good folk. If you're here and you want to make your way to the stage, we welcome you to come and join us, volunteers who have joined the Parliament in its work. Please come now as we applaud you. Now I want to turn and recognize our Toronto partners. Every time we get ready for a Parliament, it is exciting to think about what magnificent city and group of people we will have the privilege to be among. And we were so excited 3 years ago when we realized that we would have the chance to be in Toronto, the most diverse city in the world according to the United Nations. We discovered that Toronto was not only a magnificent city, it had much to teach the world about diversity and the appreciation of difference. And we became acquainted with a wonderful group of Canadian partners who have been steadfast in their efforts for our work together. I would like to recognize at this time the Board of Directors for the Toronto 2018 Parliament, and they have been chaired by Zul Kasamali and by Dr. Karen Hamilton. Zul has been the president, or is the president of the Toronto Interfaith Council, the Multicultural Council of Ontario. He's the honorary captain of the Toronto Police Department. He's an Ismaili Muslim leader. Zul, would you come and recognize those who've worked with you, say a word of thanks? And unfortunately, Dr. Hamilton could not be with us this morning, but Zul and Karen have been good partners. Zul, if you'll come for a moment.
May I request all the board members of the Toronto Board of Trustees to be on the stage. John Joseph.
Right here.
Oh, Michelle. Good.
I'm invisible.
Good. First of all, I would like to appreciate, acknowledge, and give my gratitude to Rob Sellers and Larry Greenfield, who were kind enough to endorse my appointment. Originally, they asked me to be the chair for the board, and I said, why don't we create a new model where we can have co-chairs, a man and a woman, a Christian and a Muslim, and we have done so well with your prayers. There's a lot of people I would like to recognize, but because of the time, I will make it very short. But I do want to recognize what my father has taught me, that in doing this kind of work, he said, always digest your ego because it has got good cholesterol. While you have been here in Toronto, we have all worked together. And you know, this is a very large conference, and we as human beings, we can make mistakes, and there might be some mistakes we might have made. And today, on behalf of my co-chair and my entire board, I would like to humbly say that if we have made any mistakes, please forgive us. I hope you do. And in the process of our discussion, what I have told you about the spiritual air miles, please use them because they will become handy for you in your life. Lastly, I just want to tell you a small story in one sentence. In India, an 89-year-old man was planting mango seeds, and the kids were laughing at him. At the age of 89, do you know that it takes 15 years for it to give fruits? The old man said, you are so right. All these 89 years, I have eaten these mangoes. They were grown by somebody else. So keep up the good work. Continue. The journey has just started again. And you know, the late Peter Sellers used to say, this is just the ending. You haven't seen the beginning yet. All the best. Thank you.
In case there's any doubt, I'm not related to Peter Sellers. But I have used that acknowledgement and identity sometimes to say my Uncle Peter, but I'm not really. I want to recognize now two individuals from the Canadian Steering Committee, the co-chairs of the Steering Committee who'd like to express gratitude to their workers. And this is Reverend Michelle Singh, an interfaith minister here in Toronto, and Reverend John Joseph Mastandrea. And they will come and share their thoughts with us now.
We've been told we have 5 minutes. We'll keep it short. I celebrate the gift of bringing greetings from United Church of Canada and Metropolitan United, where I serve as minister. The promise of inclusion, the power of love. The prophet Daniel wrote many years ago about a vision of a tree that stretched from earth to heaven, where all birds would land in its branches. It would produce fruit in all seasons of the year, and all creatures would find shade under its shelter. In the grit of the promise is the low-hanging fruit of the volunteers, hundreds and hundreds of hours in time. We give you thanks. The staff who've worked diligently hard from the very beginning to the very conclusion of this moment in time. The assemblies, the voice, the people, the Lodge of Nations, the Langar meals, the sacred spaces. The low-hanging fruit continues as the seeds that encompass the sacred DNA of transforming grace. Suzanne Morgan gave us the traditions, and we carry the legacy of sharing sacred spaces, 4 places in the U.S. and 1 place in Toronto, and hopefully the world, where we will sit down at the same table and learn from each other. The promise of inclusion, the power of love. Rumi once said, "We are the flute and the music in us from thee. We are the mountain, the echo of in us from thee." The promise of inclusion, the power of love today, as we see for the first time in each other, being children of God. And I want to thank especially my co-chair, Michelle. Over to you.
Good morning. John Joseph covered most of our thank yous. I would only like to add a sincere and heartfelt thank yous to all of the subcommittees that made up the steering committee. These extraordinary people donated their time, their effort, their resources to make this parliament as extraordinary as it has been for everyone present. I also want to take a moment to thank John Joseph, thank the volunteers who you're seeing with the purple shirts. Also, all the people behind the scenes that you probably haven't seen out in the hallway. The tech staff that's running all of this room and the sessions for us. The media people, the photographers, thank you all. It takes a village, and it took an enormous village to accomplish this parliament. What I would like to end with is a reminder and build on what some of the other speakers said earlier. Every single person in this room is a leader. I am hoping that people leave the parliament, certainly with the high that the Swami spoke of earlier. I'm also hoping that you leave here challenged, that you go back out into your own communities and you look for the part that you can play to create the world we've all been talking about this week. What part will you play in creating a world that is just, sustainable, and peaceful for all? Thank you.
There's so many staff persons who have made a tremendous impact on what we've done. They've been working solidly for more than 2 years and probably for 3. And I'd like to recognize staff members both from Chicago and from Canada. And as you're making your way to the stage, I'd like staff members to come onto the stage. I'd like to recognize three who have been not as visible, and they are people that have made our plenaries and assemblies more wonderful. And that would be our producer from California, Jeremy Fackenthal. Jeremy, are you here? He may be in the back. I'd like to recognize our stage manager, Louise Glasgow. Louise, are you here? All of the production team who worked with Jeremy and Louise from all over. And if you just went backstage, you would see all kinds of computers and equipment and things that help to make all of this possible. And I thank all of them. And then in a very special way as well, I'd like to thank our music director for this conference, Jack Lenz. Now, as we continue to recognize staff, I call upon the COO of the Parliament in Chicago, Randall Hamburg.
Thank you. And before I thank the staff, I just want to wish everybody a happy Diwali. It's the festival that symbolizes victory over darkness and the victory of hatred over love. But what's that? Oh my God, my first time talking to more than 100 people. Maybe I can just quote some Shakespeare. I really, though, in all sincerity, I really want to thank the joint U.S. and Canadian staff, the volunteers, for their tireless work. One of my pet peeves is I hate when people use the word literally, misuse the word literally. But when I say this staff has been working literally tirelessly, I mean it. I woke up one night. Come on, give it up. Give it up. I woke up one night at 2 in the morning and thought of an email I needed to send out. I sent it out. I think I got 3 or 4 immediate responses. So I know the staff. You all have seen the staff. I know they're exhausted. Their feet are killing them. But I want to reach out and thank all of you, because I think that you have given them the experience of a lifetime. I know they come back from a day of work and they talk about how energized they are. They met these people at the Langar, or they just helped this person with a problem. And I think that you all deserve a hand too. It reminds us of why we work so hard. And my hope of hopes is that the experience that you guys have had makes you want to come back and do it all over again, not for a little while. And I'm going to get in trouble with Rob and with Larry, but I'm declaring, since this whole crew pretty much worked on Labor Day, I'm declaring this coming Monday to be the Parliament Labor Day. Spelled with a U. Yeah. As one of my newest friends for hopefully forever told me, that one of the reasons that she has come to so many parliaments is because this is where people act the way they should act, in a loving, inclusive environment. And once again, I thank you all. You've kept us optimistic. You kept us energized. Thank you, guys. I mean, this wouldn't have happened without you, and without, I'm supposed to be good at math, but without 110% effort, so thank you.
It's my privilege now to talk about the future and turn the attention for these few remaining minutes to the future. And I want to say that it has been a wonderful privilege for me to serve these 3 years as chair of the Parliament of the World's Religions Board of Trustees. But we look to the future. And so it's my privilege to introduce someone who is a trained lawyer and therefore quite smart and capable in every way, a very nice person who makes friendships everywhere she goes, a good friend of mine as well, and the first woman chair of the Parliament of the World's Religions, Audrey Kitagawa.
Yes, change, and change has come to the Parliament. After 125 years, and it only took 125 years, we thank all the men who helped to open the doors, and the women as well, to allow a woman chair to finally break the glass ceiling. We couldn't do it in our last election, but there's another election on the horizon. And this is the nature of change. And this is my time to thank each and every one of you for making this phenomenal experience a reality. And I wish to thank all of my wonderful spiritual community, my friends who have come to join me here, and of course, I could not forget my husband, Gary. Thank you, Gary. People were wondering for many years if he actually did exist. And yes, he does. So the future of the Parliament is filled with the hopes and dreams of everyone, all of the marginalized and the people that we have tried to articulate their cause. And I have heard many recommendations coming from you on what should be included in the future parliaments, and how even Swamiji said we must try to go green. All of your fantastic ideas and your input will all become part of the future of the Parliament, because you are here in the here and now, and your presence here will help to change our future. And we will do it together. No one person can do it alone. And we are a community now of like-minded hearts and hands that understand the importance of working together to bring in a wonderful future. Thank you.
I'd like to ask those in the middle to pull over to the sides, because we want to be able to see the Unity in Diversity Choir. Jack Lentz and the Unity in Diversity Choir are going to sing for us, and then immediately following, I'm going to ask Diane Longboat and Bob Goulet to come and give a final blessing. We began with an indigenous welcome to our tribal lands. We conclude with a blessing from these friends from these nations. The Unity and Diversity Choir.
Thank you, Robert. I had no idea that we would have so many singers with us to sing our closing song. So this is called The Greatest Moments Are Still to Come. Thank you very much. Here we go. If we could see what just one could imagine, imagine for a moment what could be done. A moment of insight, of inspiration. The greatest moments, the greatest moments, the greatest moments are still to come. If we could see what just one could imagine, imagine for a moment what could be done. A moment of insight, of inspiration, the greatest moments, the greatest moments, the greatest
greatest moments are still to come. Now is a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now is a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you children, I tell you something. Listen people, I tell you something. The greatest family, I tell you something. The greatest moments are still to come.
Believe in our best, do our best to believe. A moment of truth, a moment for one man, one moment, one child, one planet. The greatest moments,
The greatest moments, the greatest moments are still to come.
and
Now's a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now's a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you children, I tell you something. Listen people, I tell you something. My human family, I tell you something. The greatest moments are still to come. We will be one human family. We will be one family. We will be forever together. We will see a new world rising. The star is rising, rising. Our star is shining bright.
sing with us now.
We will be one family. Yes. We will be one family, one family. We will be one family.
Yes,
We will be one family, one family. We will be. Put your hands together. One family. Come on. We will be one family, one family. We will be one family. Yes. We will be one family, one family.
if we could see what just one could imagine, imagine for a moment what could be done. A moment of insight, of inspiration, the greatest moments.
The greatest moments, the greatest moments are still to come. Now is a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now is a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you children, I tell you something. Listen people, I tell you something. My human family, I tell you something. The greatest moments are still to come.
2, 3, 4.
Now's a great time to be alive. The world is moving to a brilliant sun. Now's a great time for man, woman, child. I tell you children, I tell you something. Listen people, I tell you something. My human family, I tell you something. The greatest moments are still to come.
Greatest moments still to come.
The greatest moments are still to come. The greatest moments are still to come.
Well, Parliament, what did we do today? What did we do this week? It's been incredible. Let's raise our voices. We remember what we did today. We'll remember what we did this week, what we learned, what we've taught. But don't just remember it in your minds and in your memory. Take that into your spirit. Take that with you to wherever you come from and share it among your friends, among your family, among your communities, and among your nations. I want to offer thanks to this nation, this territory, the Mississauga and Anishinaabe, for welcoming us into their territory. To the Haudenosaunee Confederacy for welcoming us into their territory. Thank you. On behalf of the Indigenous Working Group, I want to thank the Toronto 2018 Parliament Board, the Board of Trustees, the Steering Committee. I want to thank the International Indigenous Task Force, Chris Peters and Andras Corbin-Arthen. I also want to offer great thanks to those that came and worked with the Indigenous Peoples Program, especially Tuesday Johnson McLeod, who did a lot of the heavy lifting, all that great work. I want to thank our volunteers, and I want to thank the fire keepers. But most of all, I want to offer an incredible debt of thanks to those Indigenous knowledge keepers, the elders, the faith keepers, and the ceremonial leaders who shared their knowledge for all of us. We ask that you take a bit of that knowledge that you learned from us and find partnerships in your own community with the Indigenous people. There's Indigenous people around the world, not just here in Canada. In the Americas, there's Indigenous people around the world. Find those partnerships. Learn more about them. And for the first time, one of the first times, we've seen the Indigenous leaders, the spiritual leaders of our traditional societies sitting alongside your religions and your faiths of the world. I want to acknowledge, in closing, my faith, the Medewan Anishinaabe, the eastern doorway of the Three Fires Medewan Lodge, and our chief, Nabanase, Jim Dumont, who led and had faith in us and shared with us in such a good way. I acknowledge them, and I acknowledge you, and I want to offer great thanks and turn it over to Diane to offer us our closing address and our closing invocation and thanksgiving. Diane Longboat.
Scanagoa, Gueco, Gahandagwa, Yunyats. I'm so grateful to Sungwe Dison, our creator, for this privilege of being together for a whole week. And so in our tradition, when we open a meeting and we welcome you as visitors to our homelands, we always close our meetings and we always offer a final journey song at the end. So today I have the honor of offering those words of blessing for you and your families, your communities, your faith communities, as you travel back through the many beautiful places on Mother Earth. Nyawe Sangwe Dison, Ganalunkwa Skana, Gahandagwas Yunyats. This day, Sangwe Dison, I raise up my brothers and sisters, my relatives, from the many beautiful faith traditions and families throughout the world. I raise them up to you, to that altar underneath the sun, and I say that we have done our best to honor you and to honor the life that has been placed here upon Mother Earth. This day, Sangwe Dison, I honor the Medewan Lodge for the beautiful sacred fire that they lit so that a tsunami of spirit could move through this gathering for 7 days. We thank you, Sangwe Dison, for the unity that we feel now, for the guidance that we have been given to stand shoulder to shoulder, to bring change to the earth, to bring change to human consciousness, to evolve spiritually, all of us, so that we can understand that powerful language of spirit that unites all of us at the highest levels, that language of spirit that allows us to fall in love with all of creation, with the mineral life underneath our feet, the plant life as the oldest form of life, to fall in love with the animal life, the living things in the waters and in the air, and with the natural forces upon the earth. We have learned so much this week. And above all, that great learning that we walk away from here with is that spiritual power is the answer to healing the earth and to the rise in human consciousness. And so today, this day, we make a covenant with you, Sangwe Dison, our creator, that we will join together as brothers and sisters, that we will uphold the sacred laws that are universal to all faith traditions, that we will uphold the natural laws of the earth, that we will transmit our knowledge to the next generation, that we will move together with one force of love in the streets, in the ghettos, in the places where there is suffering and homelessness, in the psychiatric hospitals, in the places of darkness. We will walk in those places to bring that great light of spiritual power and love and renewal. And so with these words, Sangwe Disong, I give thanks to you for loving us, caring for us, providing for us. Look on us now as those sparks from the fire as we go out into the world to light those great fires of peace. Nyawe. Miigwech.